Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Teresa Conroy-Roth, and you are watching the latest episode of Lightning Leadership. With me, I am so excited to have her on as a guest. So excited. Fanya O'Donoghue. Fanya is a practice director at Axia Consulting. She happens to lead our organizational change management practice. But with all that being said, Fanya has such a great energy, such amazing insights. Every conversations we've had, I've learned something from it, and I think I'm a better person for it. So Fanya, thank you and welcome to Lightning Leadership.
Thank you so much, Teresa. I appreciate the invitation, and I'm really glad to be here with you today.
Wonderful. Let's talk about your Zap moment. When did you first realize that you were a leader?
That's interesting. So when did I first realize it? I would say that I probably first realized that I was a leader. I was 12 years old. I had just moved from Germany, where I grew up, to Hawaii. So that in itself was kind of an unsettling situation. And I loved playing soccer in Germany. And so I joined a soccer team in Hawaii to get to meet more people and make new friends. I was really lucky to make the all-star team. And as a result, we got the opportunity to name ourselves. And so we went through the whole process, right, where everybody kind of was throwing out names and all this stuff. And I didn't realize at the time, because I was a newcomer to Hawaii, that historically a lot of like sports team names would come from like the Hawaiian language or inspired by Hawaiian gods and goddesses and those types of things. So it was like Ikaika for like the warriors or like those types of things. And so me coming from my background, I was like, well, I would love, like, I decided that the term four seemed like a really good name for a team. Four, like when you're playing golf, like four, right?
Oh, that's four. Okay.
Like there's something coming at you, right? We're traveling long distance. We're going to make whatever. So kind of like, look out, watch out, we're coming.
Yeah.
That was my thought in my 12-year-old brain. And I somehow convinced a team of head coach, 2 assistant coaches, and 12 other girls that we should name our soccer team Four. And so that's what's on like our little placard that we're holding for our team photo. And when I went home that night, my dad had been on the sidelines and he was watching the whole thing go down. When we got home that night, my dad said, "Wow, you have got something special." He's like, "I just watched my daughter persuade a whole team of people with your reasoning, with your passion about it, with your drive that this was the right decision. And you truly persuaded that whole team." He's like, "That was incredible to see." So I think that was the first time that I realized the power your words hold, the amount of persuasion it can have, and how to really influence others.
That's awesome. That's amazing, especially when you think about the age group, right? 12 to 13 young women are often difficult, right? To work through some of those challenges with. But
absolutely, lots of opinions.
Lots of
opinions. Yes, and sometimes it's not always the loudest voice, right? It's the most thought through, passionate person that's thinking, that's sharing their thoughts about this to say, here's why. Right? Like what's in it? Like why are we saying that this is the right direction? Why do I feel so strongly that this is where we should be headed? And so a lot of times sharing that type of information and kind of providing your thought process around why this is your recommendation helps others to view things from a different perspective and kind of get on board with it and say like, okay, I hadn't thought of that initially, but now that you're explaining it, that makes sense. I'm gonna align to that.
I love it. I love it. So we're going to talk about a topic. I'm completely unfiltered. We promise we'll behave. Okay, maybe we won't. I'm going to ask a question that oftentimes our male colleagues do not get asked. And so I think it's one of those questions that provides me a little bit of turmoil, right? Because it's not always an easy conversation to have. Let's talk about work-family life balance in a leadership role, right?
Sure.
Let's go there. I mean, I've got 33 years of professional experience, and I would say I've got 29 years of marriage, and I've raised 2 kids in a career in IT, and it hasn't always been easy. And there's a balance that we found that works, but not everybody has that. So, Fanya, work family life balance. How do you do it? How did you do it?
Well, I mean, first of all, I always find it interesting when we kind of walk into this as women, right? That we're
Yes.
having these conversations, and you and I are in this conversation because we work together, right, at our consulting firm. And so when I look at that and I think about how did we wind up here? How did we really come into this to have these conversations at a senior level to talk about women and leadership and work-life balance? I think the thing that comes to mind when I think about this the most is from a female perspective, I think that there is a lot of multitasking that occurs naturally in our lives, right? So
Yes.
from a young age, as we are getting older and we are, engaging in relationships and school and we start to get jobs and all of these things start to happen, we start to understand how to multitask and how to take on additional pieces of life and work and all of that stuff. And as we continue to grow, if we so choose to have a family, then we add that additional layer into our relationships in our life.
Hmm.
Now, being a mom in itself, very difficult. It's a hard job. It's a
It,
full-time job. It
it is.
is it right? And it
It is.
is a struggle and a challenge every day. When
It
you
is.
layer in then being a working mom, the challenges quadruple and the stress levels heighten
They do.
and the theory and concept of balance isn't really.
No.
Is it? I mean,
No.
this isn't
No.
truly something that we can achieve. I have yet to find a friend who is a working mother who is able to say, my life is truly balanced. There are going to be weeks where I am working on a project or with our team on a challenge that my life is out of balance
Yes.
because work needs me. And
Yep.
yes, my family needs me, but I can sacrifice a little bit to give more here. And then
Yes.
there are other weeks where my family needs me more. This is the first week of back to school for my children. And so this week I've been a little bit more present there because that's really been crucial to make sure that I
Absolutely.
was able to do the drop offs and do the pickups and be able to have dinner. And so when we talk about work life balance, I think it's really important that we talk about what that looks like from a boundary perspective. Sometimes it's not saying 8 hours a day at work and then everything else to the family. I think when we talk about balance, it's a matter of looking across the whole of your life and your right, your life, your months, your weeks, your days, and saying, how do I balance this so it's equal enough that I feel balanced, that
I love
I'm
it.
okay with this, right? So it's a matter of boundaries and saying, I need this time to feel like I'm present here for my family. I need this time to feel like I'm successful at work. And then sometimes I have to be okay with the fact that one is going to get more than the other. But the
Yes.
ultimate end result is that I feel balanced as a person.
Well, I think, it's interesting. I just left a conversation where um, the woman that I was speaking with had talked about her children come first and then her husband. And the person we were sitting with at lunch, I literally looked at her and the answer was, what about self care? How do you put yourself first? How do you take care of, an exercise routine? How do you take care of your mental stimulation? How do you take care of you? Because ultimately, if you don't take care of you, the other pieces are really, you can't be strong enough, and the other pieces are going to start shifting a bit, right? And so that was the topic of the conversation, and it was so energizing for me because I think we often put so many other people first that
Mhm.
we struggle to look in the mirror, to put ourselves, first and foremost.
That is again going to be an ongoing challenge, right? Like
Oh,
like
well,
recognizing the need for self-care. But I'll tell you something, self-care has become so much more prevalent in conversations
yes,
that we're having, and I love to see that appear in not just in our personal life saying like, okay, I'm going to make sure that I book myself in for a massage every month. I'm going to take that time, or I'm going to make sure that I see my therapist every other week, or
yes,
I'm going to make sure that I take a walk every day with my dogs. Self-care varies for everyone, right? So
it
whatever it
does.
looks like to make yourself feel good, that's
Yep.
the important piece of it. But I also think it's really interesting to see self-care emerge more in some of the conversations that we're having with our clients and our partners. So in the scope of change management, what we like to focus on is we say that we focus on the human side of digital transformations, right? So whether it's a system implementation or whether it's a business transformation or whatever that case may be, if we're focusing on the human side of it, you can't have a conversation about focus on the human side of anything without trying to help people care for themselves. So there's
Perfect.
always an element of us talking about self care with our clients, with our team as well. If I have someone on the team who wants to take their PTO and it's a really busy time period and these sort of things are going on, like they need that time. It's important
Yeah.
to give it and to have it, right? It's the same thing for our clients. Sometimes it's our role to encourage them to care for themselves, but also to help teach them other ways to care for their team, especially when we're going through things like a major transformation or
Yeah.
implementation.
Yeah.
Like these things are huge for what our companies are going through. And so teaching people how to take that deep breath and that it's okay to walk away, take a day, go
Yeah.
care for yourself, go sleep, go hang out on your couch and catch up on Emily in Paris, like whatever the right?
Emily in Rome. It's Emily in
Yeah.
Rome
Oh,
now.
it's Emily in Rome now. Like whatever the case may be, it's important that we encourage each other to do that.
That's awesome. No, I completely understand. I loved your concept of balance, right? Sometimes it's balance on a daily basis, and that's all you can do,
Yeah.
right? I did the balance today, and and again, my kids are grown, right? They're through college, they're in their own careers, and some of it was kind of reflecting would I have done anything last night? Would I have done anything differently? I made the best choices that I made with the best information that I have, right?
Mhm.
And I've got wonderful kids who are very acclimated in all different areas of their lives, right, and are pursuing their own careers. And
Yeah.
so it's that dance. I think looking back in the middle of it, I did the best I could, right?
Yeah.
I really just did the best I could, and I had a very supportive spouse who was very hands on, and we were a team. We shared. I can remember, waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning because one of the kiddos had, gotten sick, and the two of us are literally negotiating which meetings we were going to attend the next day. I can go in for half a day if you take the second half of the day, or I can. So I did it last time, right? Those kind of conversations, but they were real, and they
Yeah.
were hard conversations to have at different points, but you make the adjustments.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that what you're talking about there is just the importance of having a village,
Amen.
right? And I think that
Amen.
that village looks like whatever you need it to be. A lot of the times, one of the things my parents instilled in me was that friends are the family that you choose. So in my life, my husband was my support in my village. In that when we decided that we were going to move to Europe for my career, so that I could go over and lead part of this global implementation, and we were going to bring our 3 young children with us. The only way that that was possible for us was because he was going to be with the kids and that he was going to take that role on so that I could do the traveling and do these different things. So a lot of where I am in my career now is due to the fact that I have had incredible support from my husband, from my mother, from the rest of our family to enable me to be able to do the travel, to go meet our clients, to go shake hands, to take the time to build the relationships in person all over the world so that we're able to reach to this level in my career where I can comfortably sit and say, I've established myself as a leader in my space because of all of these experiences that I've had. Because I can say, I've been doing change management now for just over 20 years. I've got all of these implementations under my belt. I've worked in this ERP system. I've done training development. I've been a training lead. I've been a comms lead. I've done all of those different things that need to happen to fill into this leadership space. But there's no way that I could achieve that without the support of my village. And everybody's village takes on its own shape, whether it's a husband, a partner, a parent, a friend, your dogs, whatever the case may be, right?
Yeah.
That village is what enables you to be successful. So I think that
Fanya,
we can't
I
underscore that enough.
I want to have you back on.
Yeah,
This conversation could go on longer. I wish it could.
sure. I'd be happy to all
Um,
day long.
So thank you so much for joining me today on Lightning Leadership. If you're following this on LinkedIn, please feel free to like or comment. If you find us on Spotify or on YouTube, please share. Let's spread the message. Fanya O'Donoghue, thank you again. Wishing you nothing but the best.
Thank you so much, Teresa. I appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye-bye.